Next up in the big lead.
The big lead. Top trending.
Well, it was yesterday when Governor Jay Inslee tried to get his viral, this will put me on the national stage so I can run for the White House in 2020 moment.
Now, I understand you have suggested this, and we suggest things, and sometimes then we listen to people about it. Maybe they don't look so good a little later. So I just suggest we need a little less tweeting here, a little more listening, and let's just take that off the table and move forward.
Okay. Ironically, yesterday, Jay Inslee sent out an infinite number more tweets than President Trump. Inslee was tweeting all day. Trump, I couldn't find any tweets from him yesterday. So it was ironic that on the day that Inslee said less tweeting, more listening, or whatever it was that he said. But I told you yesterday, what's so ironic about all of this, and this issue was, should we arm teachers? And Jay Inslee was adamantly against it. What he didn't mention is there's already a school district here in Washington that allows administrators to be armed. And that's over in Toppenish, where they started when they began this 4 years ago. 11 administrators said, yeah, I'll carry. They passed background checks, and there have been no problems in the schools. Now they have 19 administrators who carry guns in schools here in Washington State. Channel 4, KOMOnews.com, talked with John Cerna, the superintendent of the Toppenish School District.
I'm not willing to put myself or anybody that is potentially here or specifically my kids at risk.
Is it a gun-free zone?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and this guy, the superintendent, says he believes he has the safest district in the state.
Are you armed now?
Yes, I am. We have an armed presence in every one of our buildings.
Do you run the safest school in America?
I like to think so.
Other superintendents were skeptical when Toppenish launched this, but
I'll be really honest with you, they thought I was crazy to even attempt to do something like this.
And a PE teacher, Jason Smith, told Channel 4, KOMOnews.com, that they think this is a great deterrent.
We're going to protect our children, and it's okay if people know that. And if it's through arming people, then okay. And I think the deterrence factor would be very strong.
So I want you to think about this, because Jay Inslee said this is absolutely the wrong idea when he talked to the president yesterday. He said, it will not work. Our teachers don't want it. And yet, the one school district in Jay Inslee's state that is doing that says, wow, this is working fantastically well. We're safe. We feel safe. Our students don't feel threatened. When Jay Inslee went to, rant at the president yesterday, and let me just play for you a little bit more of what the governor said yesterday.
That gun-free zones, you have a gun-free zone, it's like an invitation for these very sick people to go there. I do think that there has to be some form of major retaliation if they're able to enter a school. And if that happens, you're not going to have any problems anymore because they're never going to the school. You're never going to have a problem. So it would just be a very small group of people that are very gun adept. Anyway, go ahead, Governor.
If I may respond to that, let me just suggest whatever percentage it is. I heard at one time you might have suggested 20%. Whatever percentage it is, speaking as a grandfather,
right,
speaking as a governor of the state of Washington, I have listened to the people who would be affected by that. I have listened to the biology teachers, and they don't want to do that at any percentage. I've listened to the first grade teachers that don't want to be pistol packing first grade teachers. I've listened to law enforcement who have said they don't want to have to train teachers as law enforcement agencies, which takes about 6 months.
By the way, who in the world thinks that it would take 6 months of training to be adept at handling a crisis situation? 6 months, according to the governor. I don't know where he got that number.
Now, I just think this is a circumstance where we need to listen, that educators should educate, and they should not be foisted upon this responsibility of packing heat in first grade classes. Now, I understand you have suggested this, and we suggest things, and sometimes then we listen to people about it, and maybe they don't look so good a little later. So I just suggest we need a little less tweeting here, a little more listening, and let's just take that off the table and move forward.
All right, thank you very much. You know, we have a number of states right now that do that. And I think with that in mind, I'll call on Greg Abbott.
Okay. Again, one of the states that does it is Washington. Did Jay Inslee go and listen to the people in Toppenish when he says our teachers don't want to carry? Channel 4 talked to this PE teacher, Jason Smith, in Toppenish, who said our administrators carry, but if they would let the teachers.
If you were given the opportunity, would you carry a gun in a classroom?
Yes, I would.
What? Jay Inslee said our teachers don't want to do that, and there's a teacher who says he would like to in a district where it's working right now. So did Jay Inslee listen as he asked the president to do? Now, that moves us to today. Let's talk about what's going on in Olympia as we speak. There is a hearing for a bill in Olympia that's going on right now that would raise the age in Washington from 18 to 21 to buy guns. Here is a doctor who, and they had a bunch of people in support of this bill. Here's a doctor who explained why he supports it.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Tom Duhamel. I live in the 46th Legislative District. I'm a pediatric psychologist and formerly the chief psychologist at Children's Hospital in Seattle. I'm here today to testify in support of Senate Bill 6620. Raising the age limit to purchase semi-automatic rifles is consistent with what we now know about brain development. Teenage brains are different from adult brains. Unlike adults who make decisions in their frontal lobes, teenagers make decisions in their prefrontal cortex, which we know does not fully develop until we are in our early to mid-20s.
Okay, I have a very, very serious question. So there's a doctor testifying, let's raise the age for purchasing guns. An idea worth considering. Teenage brains aren't fully developed, he says. Well, then I would suggest to you we must raise the voting age from 18 to 21. For the same reason. Right? Everyone on the left's in agreement because teenagers' brains aren't developed, so that's why we have to raise the age to purchase some guns. If that is the case, then we must raise the voting age from 18 to 21 if the people on the left are to be consistent. By the way, the right to vote is a constitutional right granted via amendment. The right to own guns is a Bill of Rights, Second Amendment freedom that is guaranteed to us. If we're going to take away one from the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, then I'm sure, and now here's where we'll test the consistency of those on the left. Because most 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, including me, vote Democrat. If you're telling us that their brains are not sufficiently developed to make decisions, then I assume you wouldn't want to trust them with the vote either, correct? For everybody on the left. Is that correct? And I would love to hear why, if brains are sufficiently not developed, why we should trust that group to vote. We'll check. We'll check the consistency. As this is going on in Olympia this afternoon to raise the age, I don't think we're going to hear any consistency on that issue. And here's the other thing that we're wrestling with here. And as I've said, any common sense idea that I hear that makes sense that would reduce school shootings or other problems, we should consider. We absolutely should. But there is an unbelievable urban versus rural bias in Olympia and in Washington, D.C. A lot of people don't understand that there are kids in Toppenish and Omak and Chelan. They grow up with guns. And they're responsible and they're legal and they're safe and they don't abuse it. But a lot of people in the city, they can't imagine why do those country kids need an AR-15, which is the most popular hunting rifle in the nation. So let's see. If you're willing to take away one constitutional right from 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, will you take away the right to vote as well? I'm going to check and see how consistent the left is on this. That is your big lead for today.
The Big Lead on Kiro Radio.
Ursula's going to check the news, and then we'll talk with that food truck owner who says to the city council, you got to help us because this is bad, the crime epidemic. It's next on the Dori Monson Show.